Man, you touched on some amazing topics in the first half. One of which that was really intriguing to me was how your RV is bringing in multiple streams of revenue, more than just the nightly. You're getting mileage revenue. You're getting dollars for how when they're running the generator. Like, that was a really cool topic to me. And then leveraging it down south during the winter months when you're not using it, truly creating a passive income for your property. You're moving your motorhome there. So, I mean, I think this is super cool stuff. And in the second half here, man, I want to get into what it looks like to manage this thing, because there's an active component here. This is, again, one of those things in passive income investing or investing in general that's simple, not easy. There's a reason not everyone does it, right? So I want to hear some positive experiences, some of those moments when it was like, man, this is great. Maybe a family that had a huge victory, made a family memory, or, even share with us some of maybe the negative stuff that you've had to go through. What's wrong with this? Be real with us, man. So would love for you to get into some of that.
Yeah, for sure. Happy to scare people a little bit with some negatives, but we'll start with the positives. It's been overwhelmingly positive, our entire experience. But I would say, first off, we've been fortunate to have really good renters. And maybe that's the price point. I talked about this at the beginning. This is why we jumped into it. It's because it's expensive to rent a motorhome, whether you're renting it for 4 days or 8 days. It adds up, the nightly fee, the mileage, renting a campground, whatever it might be. So we've had great renters all throughout, 0 issues. You feel really protected by the platform as well, because they do verification of the renters. They have a really good security deposit there for every single renter. Every renter has to pay for insurance for your motorhome. So that's covered through Outdoorsy as well. So for mileage fees, incidentals, minor damage, anything like that, I can just pull it directly from the security deposit through the Outdoorsy platform. Makes it super easy for me as the manager to not have to deal with the renter. I'm not asking them to cut me a check or Venmo me, because you owe me for this. And now they're like, well, I'm not going to pay for that. I'm already gone. No, it comes, Outdoorsy's holding that security deposit. So that makes it really easy for us. But yeah, we've had great renters. Some of the really cool things, a family taking it out to Yellowstone, and they're so excited. And one of the ones that sticks out to me was they had 2 18-year-old twins and then a 16-year-old girl. And they're like, this is our last trip. This is our last trip with our kids, because they're going to go off to college. They were going to be freshmen in college, and they're not going to be kids anymore. They're going to be adults. This is our last chance to be in a small space together. I mean, I love that. That pulls at my heartstrings. Some of the things this summer, it was used for a weekend for a bank's commercial. They rented it for $250 a night for an entire weekend, and they were shooting a commercial for a local bank here in Fargo. They found us on the Outdoorsy platform, so it wasn't even going anywhere. I'm not sure if I should share this or not, but the governor of North Dakota had it for a weekend, took it out to Medora. Just by happenstance, just by happenstance. This last weekend was WeFest, our biggest country musical fest in the Midwest up here. 2 guys from Ireland fly in and rent the motorhome for 5 days. They pay an extra fee, bigger security deposit, but just great renters. It's in Sturgis right now for 10 days. So you got to be a little trusting on some of those different music festivals or bigger events. They're taking your very expensive motorhome somewhere, but you got to trust it, and you got to rely on the platform and trust your renters and have really good communication skills, and walk them through the process. That'd be a lot of the good highlights. And obviously just, paying for the motorhome. We get to use it whenever we want. We also park it in our driveway. We're fortunate enough to have an extra stall where we can park the motorhome. And we've had people use it in our driveway before, family and friends. It's something I've thought about dabbling in. Why not list it on Airbnb in the driveway?
No kidding,
it's plugged
man.
in. It's got power. It's got water. Why don't I just list it this fall for college football season in Fargo, North Dakota, and list it on Airbnb, So there's options there. It's been really cool. Some of the negatives, it's a lot of work. You're dealing with renters. You're communicating with renters. Last summer, we actually had a kind of a crazy summer. I forget about it now because this summer has gone so smoothly and so good. Last summer, I hit a deer with the motorhome. So you got to take care of that. And you got to make sure renters are lined up appropriately. So if anything happens to it, it's a lot of communication. One of our renters got sideswiped in the motorhome, not their fault. Another car sideswiped them. The Outdoorsy platform was awesome. The renter paid for insurance through Outdoorsy. They get back to my house. I see the accident. Outdoorsy's like, okay, take 10 pictures with your phone of the outside of the motorhome. Boom, 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 boom. 2 days later, they send me $7,000 in my direct deposit to pay for the damage. Like the greatest insurance experience I've ever had in my life is insurance claim experience.
Man.
That makes me feel good too. Like when things happen, Outdoorsy has always taken care of me. The renters have always taken care of us. We've never had any major issues with renters. We treat renters with respect and trust and love, and we expect the same in return, to return our motorhome in the same condition you found it in. So we've been very fortunate from a lot of those aspects.
Zach, what do you do to ensure that you have success like that? Is there a certain underwriting of the renter, like that maybe you have to kind of review who they are, or I even think of like operationally, do you have a certain process you go through before they rent? Like you talked about the walkthrough and things like that to try to really, mitigate any.
Yeah, great question. So people have to request the rental on the platform on Outdoorsy. So I get a rental request. They don't get automatically approved like you might on Airbnb. So I get the request and then I get to message back and forth with them. Like, where are you going? How many people? Have you ever used a motorhome before? Do you have a campground rented? All these different questions. And none of that's required. Like many, many renters have never used a motorhome before. That's just fine. I just want to know so I can set you up for success. Yeah. And then a really good walkthrough. I mean, I love people in my day job. I'm a sales guy. I work with people all the time. So just meeting new people and again, treating them with respect and trusting them, but giving them a really good walkthrough of the motorhome, the outside, the inside, how to set it up, how to do the slide outs, all the things we offer. Like we have camping chairs in there and outdoor blankets and rugs and a grill they can use and all the kitchen supplies, all the sheets, pillows, blankets, towels. So we make it like a one-stop shop experience. We have a lot of renters that fly in and just they're bringing their suitcase with. I mean, just 2 rentals ago was flying in from Colorado for a family reunion. This last rental was flying in from Ireland, going to WeFest, like trying to make it the best experience possible, making sure they're well educated and just communicating well. If they have questions, being available. That's another thing, just like maybe another negative, always being available to just answer a quick question. We don't get a ton of them, but if they need something, happy to be there. But Outdoorsy also has like roadside assistance. Like you blow a tire, you don't call me, you call Outdoorsy and they're going to send out a tow truck or whatever to come. Thankfully, we've never had to deal with that, but another peace of mind for me to know that would be taken care of.
I think that's important to note that the platform has had so much satisfaction from you, that you've really had a good experience there, because that can also be, that could be the cherry on top for, pain points in this. What do your friends and family think about this, Zach? Like people getting into creative thinking sometimes gets pushback and sometimes it inspires. You know what I mean? Like, are people like Zach and Trisha are doing, crazy Zach and Trisha things again? They're renting out their RV, or are people like, this is cool? Like what's kind of been some of the fallout in you doing this or making this decision?
Yeah, I would say last June was what are crazy Zach and Trisha doing, or what's crazy Zach doing, because he's the one who, is jumping off into the deep end of this lake by pulling the trigger on this. A lot of people thought that, my parents included. I think they thought it was cool, like go for it. They're not going to, be negative about it. But yeah, just like I had never heard about it. I mean, no one in our circles had ever heard about it or done it. Like I didn't have a path to follow, or, I just started looking online and reading as much as I could. And now fast forward a year and a half and we've never made a payment on the motorhome, so it's like someone else is paying, albeit a depreciating asset. Someone is still making payments on my asset, that I took a loan out for. So now everyone thinks it's pretty cool. And especially that we get the opportunity to use it too. When you take a 6-week vacation down Highway 1 of California, when you're, 30 years old and 3 young kids in the motorhome, those are memories you'll never forget. And again, yeah, that's things that make it worth it all day long, that people think it's really, really cool that we pulled that trigger.